Uh, yes, I do think there is a difference. I consider a leader that's in a position to, of course, lead a team. So defining a leader is really, I consider that based on the structure that they're in. A successful leader is in that position and then is able to take that team to a shared vision, uh, incorporate the goals that they've set forth within their team, and have have successful buy-in, that the team wants to achieve that shared vision that the leader has set forth with.
Attributes of a successful leader, I think one of the most important ones is being an active listener, not one being able to accept what a problem is, being able to accept feedback, and knowing the most successful route to approach the issue and how to solve it. Being able to make someone feel like as if you hear them, but not giving them false promises. Because if you give someone a false promise and you can't give up on it, then how are they going to trust you as their leader? So making them feel like, hey, I hear you, I understand how you feel about what's going on. Let's try to figure out a way around it. So it's kind of repeating their issue to make sure that you're on the same page, empathizing, but also not choosing sides. Because if you make them feel like as if you're on their side and you don't succeed in helping them, then they're going to feel like you kind of lied. So yeah, just being an active listener and doing the best for what best for the employee and also the company.
So I'll give you about 5 things that I think are super important. First one is being a servant leader. And so what I mean by that is my team knows that I am here for them. I'm here to make sure that they are successful, and whatever that means. And I'll give you a few examples that you may shock you a little bit. So I get folks that come up to me and say, hey, I'm not real happy with what I'm doing. I think I want to go do something completely different than what we're doing, managing that $4.5 billion budget I told you about earlier, which is fine with me. It gets down to the point in some folks' lives where, as the senior person in our organization, they come to me for career advice, family advice, relationship advice, knowing that those team members can come to me and be open and trust me, knowing that I'm here to serve them. They're not here to serve me. And I would tell you, if you can build that in your culture, you will find that people will have a lot of trust in you, and they will pretty much do anything for you as long as it's ethical and moral. Second one, I would tell you that you have to be the standard bearer. And so this is kind of like a military term where the military is very disciplined. We're very strict in certain rules and things that we do. And you have to be above reproach. And so everything that I do, leading a team this large, I have to constantly be cognizant of what my people are thinking of me. It's that mentality of, am I setting the standards for all of my people to make sure that they understand that, yes, this guy is in charge. He is the one that we all want to aspire to be like someday. Number 3, humility. And so, a good successful leader knows that he didn't get there on his own. In fact, he probably stumbled, he probably failed numerous times. It's really a combination of a whole bunch of people that mentored him or her, as they were rising up the ranks. And, I think you got to be extremely humble to be a very successful leader. Number 4, constantly be learning. And so all of you are in college. All of you probably wish that you could graduate tomorrow and think that you're never going to have to study or learn anything the rest of your lives. I can tell you that's absolutely not true. I remember somebody telling me that when I graduated college, and I looked at them and said, holy cow, I hope I don't have to read another book again in my life. But if you're not constantly learning, if you're not constantly reading, that means you're not constantly growing. And in order to be a successful leader, there's a whole lot of stuff that you need to learn. And some of that comes from experience, but a lot of that comes from picking up other ideas from other people. And then finally, I would tell you a big portion of my job is coaching, mentoring, training, and leading others. And so as a successful leader, that probably means that you know a lot of stuff about whatever the trade or craft is that you do, and your job is to share that with others, you know, and I think that is where a lot of leaders can be successful by giving back, I guess, if you will, reaching out to others, making sure that, you know, they know they're cared for. There's an old saying that goes, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so I would tell you that one of the most important things that I try to do is really get to know my people, get to know what's going on in their lives, what's going on in their families, what are their struggles, what are their successes. And when you touch people at a personal level like that, the culture just kind of flows.
You know, first of all, I think a leader needs vision. If a leader doesn't have a vision, then it's hard for him or her to see where they're going or to have a pretty good plan to go somewhere. So they need to see something, not only imagine something, have a interest and a passion to go somewhere. Maybe it's create a vision of a business. Maybe it's to, you know, restart a school as Nito Cobain did at High Point University, or to make some progress with an older company to rebrand it and make it new. So they need a vision. Secondly, they need to know something. They need a head of knowledge, hopefully good education, good practical experience, but they need to have some basic knowledge about where they're going and be willing to learn it if they don't have it. Thirdly, I say they need to be a good listener. They need to be able to read their environment, pick up on people, read the culture. They need to listen well so that they're not missing really key indicators of what's going on, so that whatever leadership they provide or service they provide, it will be legitimate and necessary and valuable. Also, I think they need a willingness to serve. I think Simon Sinek in the last few years has written a book called Leaders Eat Last, and it's talked about the military, and it's a great metaphor of how military leaders do line up last to eat. They serve the younger or the junior soldiers first, enlisted guys. So I think leaders need to serve, or they'll find themselves out just taking a walk by themselves and nobody's following if they don't serve. And then I think they really need a heart, not only to serve, but just to care for people in general. Leaders often slip because they start well, maybe they have a good idea, a good product, but they don't develop a good team, and they don't build the people around them, so that they don't really have a heart to serve others that results in good followership. And finally, I think they need to have some intentionality to go somewhere, to make progress, to get up early. I haven't seen too many exceptions, to stay at it till they get results, and to not take the easy road, but more often take the high road or the necessary road for success. You know, I've often heard it asked, or is everyone a leader? And my answer to that is no, not until you're having some followers. You're not a leader. But you're asking a different question. What impact, what influence can followers have on leaders? And I think it's great if they're indeed, the acrostic I look at for a good follower is faith, F-A-I-T-H. It's faithful. Will they show up regularly on time, and will they, really do what's being asked of them to do and be honest and be a person of character? F, are they available? Are they available to not only show up, but to come when you call them? The people that I think make it will make the exceptions to be there on time, to show up and really be available to do the work, and not late, not absentee, and all the obvious things. I is, are they intentional? Are they really going in a clear direction, and they make it a purpose? Do they really have goals, and are they moving in the right direction? And then the T is, are they teachable? Are they really humble enough to learn from whoever is the boss? So that's a little bit harder for every generation to just sit back and learn, particularly the newer generations. They can learn things and know things through Google. They can, just pull up an answer. And in the old days, you had to be a little bit more humble to ask someone to answer you. You couldn't know as much stuff. So it's harder today to demonstrate that humility. And finally, I think that, a good follower can have impact by, again, having a heart for not only the work or the company, but for the leader. I think it takes a good bit of humility. That's why I think the military was helpful for me. They were really clear about our low roll when we got there, and that we had to really deserve every step or stripe along the way. And if people got out of line and acted like they knew a little too much, they had ways of reminding them that they didn't. And so that was just great training for me. So just the other day, a general that I was coaching said, "You can't call me general, you have to call me Sean." And I said, "Yes, sir, General." I just could not do that because of my training, and he insisted that I do that. And so I tried, but I told him it'd be tough. So that's just a good example of how that built-in respect, is something I think a follower can demonstrate and therefore motivate the leader, encourage the leader, and make it a good team.